Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for Yida as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen from acts Tao Wei and Hsun Yueh, titled Nobody Rhapsody, if I understand it, that being the way it's translated. So we're going to listen through it from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. I just realized the jacket I was wearing was way too warm to be able to do this in, so let's go. I want to be comfortable when I review, man. Apparently this is David Tao's father, if I'm not mistaken. Are there captions for this? No, there are not. This is predominantly strings, bass, and drums, right? And guitar lines here for a solo section and alt. And that extra, I like it when they have an extra bar between sections. It just kind of makes things a bit more unpredictable. Like, wait, why are we extending it? Oh, we're doing another fill section with the drums, and then we keep going. The charisma and kind of wackiness of the that offbeat ride bell groove was dope. I don't really know what to make of this song. I like it a lot, and it's very different to a lot of the music I've heard from this part of the world. It almost seems like they're having more fun, if I'm honest, and I've got to show some love for that. We're going to talk about this track, though, more in the conclusion. But not before the lyrics, though, from Tao Wei and Hsun Yueh with Nobody Rhapsody. So these are lyrics that Yida has provided, thanks to Yida for that. I'm an insignificant man with worn-out shoes and old trousers. Full of hopes and fantasies, even if I have to live my life in mediocrity. An insignificant man who eats ordinary food and lives in a shabby house. I don't care if other people's honor and wealth are like rubbish and shit to me. Maybe I don't care about other people's honor, wealth are like rubbish and shit to me. Let's sing together, no need to be nervous, give us your love and we'll be happy as if we were in heaven. The colorful sky is my tent, the green earth is my bed, life is my stage, is a scene of joy and sorrow. Okay, I kind of get it, so we're sort of more celebrating. We'll talk about this more in the conclusion. Welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an ex named Tao Wei and Hsun Yueh, titled again under Nobody's Rhapsody. I think that apparently this was supposed to be, or this was a theme for a TV show back in the day. And again, being written by David Tao's father, as I understand it, it's very different to what it's very different to a lot of music I've heard, predominantly because it's not the story necessarily, because the story is one where we're listening to someone sort of say, hey, I'm okay with my life. All this excess that other people have is just external to me. What I care about is being here with you on this planet, enjoying stuff together, making the most of what exists. I'm just an ordinary, normal person. And it's not trying to do anything superfluous lyrically. It's trying to be relatable. It's trying to sort of connect and be amiable. And I kind of adore that. I think that it's an interesting angle, and it instantly encourages people to sort of jam along to it by virtue of what it's trying to communicate, celebrating that ordinary life on Earth together, not getting too wound up in the bullshit. I think that the use of, swear words and stuff is kind of important. Not because you need to swear in order for a song to be good, but because it doesn't make you seem like you're above it. And let's be honest, most people swear, we don't need to, just being blunt with your language can be incredibly effective sometimes. And that could have sort of inadvertently, maybe even unintentionally, shows a level of just honesty and frankness that is very refreshing in an age where, especially nowadays, it's almost cool to swear, but they're only swearing because it's cool. I don't know how to describe it, but I like the story of this track. I think that what's going on within the vocals is fantastic. It's more a case of a sense of duality between the main leads singing the verses and then the choruses, but also the cackles and the shouting out and the celebrations and the noises and the more sort of humanistic raw bursts and spouts of emotion that are there, the celebration of it, the kind of spooky laughs and everything like that. It's very kind of surreal because it almost seems like a comedy skit, but I kind of adore that characterization primarily because it makes it more exciting and less like a pre-rehearsed kind of sterile tune. It's more like an experience. You do genuinely wonder, especially if you don't know the language, what the fuck is going on, right? The vocal technique in here was well handled there. We phrased ourselves well. We had a lot of energy and charisma. It was exciting and varied throughout there. And I enjoy the fact that we voiced ourselves and expressed ourselves well in a way that didn't take away from the rest of the instrumental performance, basically added to it. The track itself at 3 minutes 15 is, right within that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot. Very well balanced in regards of the vocal to instrumental package you've got there. I think that there are a lot of different instruments involved in this. There was some interesting sort of laser effects going left and right at the start, if I'm not mistaken, which were kind of trippy, those synths there, and depending on when this was recorded, they actually might have been very impressive, because if it was recorded earlier enough in the 20th century, the synth stuff just wasn't as good back then. It took a lot of effort to get really solid synth sounds. They used to be really big and used to be really hard, not like nowadays, but I adore the fact that we approach things like that. I think it was a lot of fun instantly because of bits like the synth stuff, but also the groove on the drums with the sort of chord note pattern with the 16th kind of grooves on the cymbals and some of the offbeat ride patterns, and lots of different drum fills working through the toms and the snare patterns there. We had a lot of range on the kit. The drummer did not pocket the entire time, and I appreciate the creativity and flexibility illustrated there. As an awareness that you don't just have to always keep it simple all the time. If there's enough room, you can do it in a way where it's tasteful and doesn't take away from what's the focal point of the mix, which in this is the vocals. There was a kind of a guitarist solo kind of thing there, a kind of an interesting chimey sound on the right side of the stereo field in the midsection. I don't know if the guitars feature too much throughout, but I feel like that was just a great sort of change in foil there, as a lot of the focus was on the bass line, whether it was rolling through notes or an octave kind of funk movements there, but a discotheque to it a little bit, as well as the strings there, with some interesting call and responses working through some bluesy chromatics, which is not something I typically hear on the strings, but I like the fact that we had that. It was it would have been a little bit more sort of intense with the guitars, but I think we were trying to sort of keep it fluffy and kind of fragrant, and I think that was a smart move. The way that we played those strings with the flexibility rhythmically as well as harmonically there, we had some simple chord progressions there, and a motif that was catchy and effervescent and easy to follow along to. There was a sense of joy and whimsy to it, we weren't supposed to be taking life that seriously. It was frank, but it was also compelling because of the fact that it didn't sort of make it too serious. Like, there was a balance to the themes within the vocals and the story. There was a balance within the instrumental sections here. And we had brass as well a bit later on. The triumphant glow of that in the mix there was it was glorious to listen to. And there are probably lots of other instruments I mixed, but like either way, I still feel like those are the main components there. And I like the fact that we had a great time playing these instruments. There was a phenomenal chemistry between the instrumental parts and the vocals. And the theme overall, again, as I mentioned before, that main mode, it never got too heavy. It was trying to sort of be joyful and trying to get you to celebrate life under the colorful sky and on the green earth. And then that life is a stage, and you know, it's joy and sorrow. It's just happy and sad. It's just the balance of it, and it's just going through life and trying to take every day at a time and making the most of it. I think that's really refreshing, and I appreciate that. So well done on that front. I think it makes for a really interesting start to an intro to a song, and I can imagine how that would be implemented. But I think just the studio recording, mixing, and mastering makes me feel incredibly nostalgic for a time where I wasn't alive, aka the 80s. There was a lot of stuff happened in the 80s commercially in regards to TV production, intro themes, songs, etc. They were recorded on old school discs and had specific tones with reverbs, and like had big stages, and they had a real sense of warmth with the fact that they were recorded through those analog discs. And I feel like it's tangible at this point. Like, you literally with studio makeups, it's difficult to get that same sound as from back then. Like, but I think it was also the microphones that you used and stuff like that. The way they sort of segged in these instruments, the racks they used, the effects racks and chains and stuff. The combination of all these things combined with really competent instrumental performances with vocalists who really knew what they were doing and absolutely smashed the performance, whether together or apart, were tremendous. And we smashed it out of the park, and it's just, yeah, things were well balanced. No weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. Nice and wide in the stereo field. Nice and loud without pumping. The bus compression limiting was handled, and effectively that's just my review of this track from Axe, Tao Wei, and Hsun Yueh, titled Nobody's Rhapsody, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, I'm wondering if it's like a kind of a parody of Bohemian Rhapsody a little bit, but I feel like it's not. I feel like that's a bit of a reach. But anyways, please go show these musicians and artists some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they help more than ever thought of crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next SC Patrons video. Spiderhands out.